Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to another episode of CampusCare EdTalks. EdTalks is a platform where educators and leaders come on board and express their viewpoints related to education and society. A topic for the day is how can project-based learning be beneficial for the students? And to express their viewpoints on the same, we have with us Miss Tanushri ma'am, headmistress of Stepping Stone School, Hooghly. A very warm welcome, ma'am.
Warm welcome to you also. Thank you for the invitation to speak here.
And then we have Miss Jyoti ma'am, Deputy General Manager at SET MR Jaipuria Group of Schools. A very warm welcome to you too, ma'am.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much to Jyoti ma'am and to Tanushri ma'am for being here. So let's start off with the session now, shall we?
Yes, please.
Yes.
So, ma'am, Tanushri ma'am, over to you. How do you think is project-based learning helping the educators, all around the world?
See, in this project-based learning, the educators are enabling the students to become more engaged with the learning atmosphere. The students are actively participating in the work, and it is building an interest in them. So in that case, what is happening is the teachers usually they were active in the classroom, taking up lectures, creating presentations, doing board work. Now it has got flipped. The students are now active and the teachers have now become more of facilitators. Yes, so they have learned to step back and they have learned to limit their directionality. And on the other hand, also the teachers have to be more proactive. That laid back attitude is gone. Like whatever you have learned, you have to utilize that and you have to keep on updating yourself so that you can facilitate the queries that are brought up by the students. You can create more projects and you can also become technically much more upgraded. Yes. So I think it has enabled educators worldwide through this kind of teaching learning method. It has also improved the teacher student relationship because there is much more interactions going on. The students are coming up with much more queries. There are so many problems that they are facing when they are undergoing this project, and hence they are having to have greater help. More help is needed, and hence the association with the teacher is increasing. So a good bond is developing between them.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So, what you mean to say is all over it has, improved the quality of the education, right? Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for a, very brief explain. Uh, Jyoti, ma'am, over to you. So, most of us were brought up by studying on the, by studying with the chalk and the duster and the blackboard only. So, when we talk about project-based learning, so is it more effective than the, that traditional way of teaching? How do you, see it?
Okay. Thanks so much for the opportunity to answer this question. Uh, Good afternoon to all the viewers who are watching this. See, project-based learning has been existing since time immemorial, right? If you talk about gurukuls and if you talk about our traditional, what you perceive saying traditional mode, it was there at that time also. The only thing is the communication was not very strong, and we were not able to talk about the assessment and the objective clearly at that time. Today, when we used to make our projects and when we used to work for projects in our time, we used to make the project, the teacher used to check as per her understanding
Yeah.
and her likability, and then she used to give it to the student back. It could be a home science file, it could be a social science file, it could be a science file. There were no set rubrics for it, and because of the absence of the set rubrics and and the implementation of it in the real life context, it was not very popular at that time. But if you talk about project-based learning today, in today's environment, it is very, very important. One has to understand a little bit about Bloom's taxonomy here when you talk about PBL, that the highest level of Bloom's taxonomy talks about creation. And creation is where your mind starts working. Till the second last level, you are still applying and analyzing and synthesizing the information. But when it comes to the creating level, you start creating context, you start creating something which you want to add on to it. And here project-based learning helps a lot because every child has got a unique way of explaining a particular concept. And this is how project-based learning helps in understanding the child better. So yes, it is very, very helpful. Obviously not the chalk and duster way, but it helps to have a lot of hands-on experiential learning, which is how PBL has become very, very important and has helped also.
Thank you so much, Jyoti ma'am. So when we talk about project-based learning, and as you just mentioned, that it is much better than that, than the traditional way of teaching. So Tanushri ma'am, do you think is the project-based learning possible in India, and if it is, then how?
Ma'am, there is nothing as impossible. Like things can be made possible. As of now, like a lot has to be done because we have got so used to this jugmug theory, this lecture mode of learning, that thinking out of the box or putting that effort, there are a lot of hurdles on the way. But some schools have already started practicing this project-based method of learning. What we need to do is we need to send teachers to train themselves in this imparting project based method of learning. Yes, once the teachers have trained themselves, then they can facilitate the learning amongst the students. And no longer will you be able to use the same method of training that you have received from your teachers. The method has changed. Now, earlier it was more teacher centric. Now it has become much more student centric. And involving the students in the correct manner, the teacher should be in the know how. And also, another problem is that we have been relying more on knowledge based learning. We have been giving facts to the students, and by rote learning, they have accumulated those facts, and that is getting reproduced on paper. So it is mainly a transfer of knowledge which has occurred. But now the students need to imbibe that knowledge and put it into practical use. So we can take small steps at a time. Yes, little baby steps. Say about one project based learning in one session, and then go on to one project based learning per term, and then we can go on higher with that number. But ideally, for a project based learning classroom, we have to have a lot amount of space because there will be a lot of activity around. Yes, so the size of the rooms must be large enough to accommodate all the materials that will be required. On top of it, the student teacher ratio must also be looked into. If the teacher has to have the students actively participating, involving themselves, having their own method of learning incorporated, then in that case, there will be a lot of movement and the teacher has to keep an eye all around. So if the student teacher ratio is ideally say 1 is to 20 or 1 is to 25, I think that will suffice the purpose. Also, the teachers, apart from getting a training, the teachers must also be given incentives. Yes, there should be an appropriate appraisal of the work they do. And there should, apart from a major training, there should also be continuous training taking place. Like NCRT has already taken up that onus on them through these Nishtha courses. They have begun with that so that teachers are more equipped with the present day teaching learning system, And the advantage of this project-based learning is that since the students are actively participating in this learning method, they are, they are no longer passive listeners in the class. You don't have to enthuse them. They themselves get enthused when they see certain things happening, when they can use their own methods of learning. So I think it becomes a more of a participatory action in the learning process. So nothing is impossible, but to have this going within the country, it will take time. There will be a lot of hiccups, there will be a lot of resistance, but we have to overcome that. And bit by bit, I think we can have it completely entering into our practices.
Absolutely, ma'am. We will, bit by bit, will have to make a change. So thank
Yes,
you so
yes.
much, Tanushree,
It's
ma'am.
absolutely required.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you, ma'am. So, Jyoti, ma'am, over to you. Can you, tell us some ways through which educators can promote this project-based learning?
Great. Yeah, thank you so much. So, see, a lot of research has gone into the project-based learning methodologies, and how can the educators implement it in the school is something that we need to, kind of think about a lot. So, some of the prominent ways has been talked about in the National Curriculum Framework 2005 also. Then we talked about interdisciplinary projects, where they talked about that every class should have a particular topic which is not maybe present in the books per se, but a topic which is more realistic and has real life implications, and use that project to be taught from through all the subjects. And this is what is interdisciplinary learning. When that is done, what will happen is that every maybe term, as ma'am was suggesting, that we can give one project or one interdisciplinary project to the teacher to implement, which has detailed guidelines and activities to be done, hands-on activities to be done in the school. Of course, you need space for those things. Also, as ma'am suggested, that we will need space where the children can sit together, discuss together, because it will be a group-based project. So, some activities will be in groups, some will be in pairs, some will be in, in single. So accordingly, the planning must be done. There are some examples of interdisciplinary project in the NCF also, which can be taken as an, first step towards moving towards it. And most importantly, it should be made accessible. That in the report card, the marks will be reflecting. Unfortunately, our teachers still, talk about, or most of the educators, in fact, talk about marks. What is coming and reflecting in the report card. Even the parent also is at the moment still not ready to adapt this thing that marks are not everything. So when they talk about marks, and when they show that there is a particular project which has been done by a child in the school, and that project has been marked as this according to these rubrics, and you maintain the transparency with the parent, I'm sure the parent will understand. That will be the first stepping stone of making the parent included in the curriculum process also. And the teacher will also feel engaged and will know that I have to do this project with my children because of the marks. And even if it is a little mark, say it's a 5 marks project, like CBSE talks about subject enrichment activity. So you make this interdisciplinary project a part of the subject enrichment activity. And when you make it part of the subject enrichment activity, then they will be able to implement it in the right manner. This is one step towards it. And then in smaller classes, in classes 1 and 2, or in pre-primary classes, or maybe in higher classes also, there is something called work education which is given. That is part of the result also that comes in. Under work education also, they can be given smaller projects to take care of, which involves connecting with the society, connecting with your neighborhood, and doing a particular project. So these are some few examples which the teachers can use to implement project-based learning in the school. Of course, these are very, very small steps,
Yeah.
but when you have to achieve a longer goal, as NEP talks about integrated studies till class 5, so this has to be done, and teachers should get used to that they are not going to be dependent on a particular chapter and the question answers. They should relate it to the other subjects also. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jyoti, ma'am. That was, a very wonderful explain by you. Thank you so much, Tanushri ma'am, and thank you so much, Jyoti ma'am, for being here. It was wonderful, having you both here.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, and Tab. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And I hope, the audience enjoyed it and got to learn a lot from
We
both
are
of
sure
you.
about.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you.
And
Have
for
a
all
great
the
evening.
viewers watching us out, please don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more stuff like this. Thank you, ma'am. Have a good day.
Thank you. Thank you, Tanushri ma'am.
Yes, thank you. Same here, ma'am, Jyoti ma'am. It
Thank you,
was a
ma'am.
nice interaction. Thank you.